You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Glee After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Glee After Show.
Baby, can't you see I'm calling? A guy like you should wear a warning.
So good.
It's dangerous.
So much fun, this song, and I love that we all know the words to it. Of course, this is
It's Brittany.
Yes, the Glee After Show, and it is the 100th episode of Glee. It is season 5, episode 12, so we're well into Glee here.
That's a lot of numbers that we're throwing out.
Yeah, I know, right off the top. But of course, all 4 of us are back all together. It's been a while, so happy to be here with you all. I'm Stephanie Wenger.
I'm Roxy Striar, happy to be here for the 100th.
I'm Sarah Mendoza.
Hi everyone, I'm Marisa Serafini.
And let's jump into it. Were you happy with the 100th episode? I know there was a lot of anticipation.
Round of applause from Roxy.
I'm
so good.
I'm so happy how it ended.
Yeah.
Like overall this episode was like at the beginning I'm like, oh, what's gonna go on? But the ending really did it for me. I loved this episode.
Yeah, it doesn't really help in terms of the longevity of Glee, but it was a great 100th in my opinion.
Me too. And I'm just so glad that they brought everybody back for it. It wouldn't have been the same without our OG original cast.
Yep.
I was going to say, it felt like it tied up some loose ends that we had from when that class graduated, so it was fun to have everyone back. And Quinn was back, which I think a lot of our fans have been waiting for. I was super excited about it, and I also loved her dress, just on a side note. But
Absolutely, and I think it's weird at the end of every season, they don't know what storylines are kind of close up because they don't know who's going to be coming back for the next season. So like you guys are saying, we had some loose ends, and I do feel like we have a little more closure.
I was super excited about the kind of twists and turns this episode took. And again, yeah, the ending was really great. But let's jump into it here. Should we start with that the Quinn, Biff, Puck? I'm going to call it a triangle. I feel like that's the right way to go.
Yeah, it just has to be said that like Biff should only ever be in Back to the Future and nothing else because what kind of a name is Biff, especially for like this classy dude, Biff.
Supposedly classy.
Yeah, and shout out to Chase Crawford and flashback to when we did the Gossip Girl after show. Oh my God, Nate Archibald, I love you.
I mean, Stephanie was the same way when we were watching it together earlier.
Well, Roxy and I did
on the Gossip Girl, baby.
Exactly, Gossip Girl together. And so I was super excited to see him on the show. He actually shares a manager with Matthew Morrison, so that's probably the connection to Glee, among probably being...
Wicked smart, dude.
Yeah. So it was fun to see him on there, and what a fun character for him. Kind of like in a similar vein to Gossip Girl, but a completely different character, as we mentioned.
Well, yeah, because he was just a jackass on this show, and he wasn't on Gossip Girl.
Okay, that's good to know because I never watched Gossip Girl, and then we see his character, brand new person for the 100th episode. I was surprised that they brought someone completely new for this kind of going back kind of episode. But like I didn't like this character, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing with Quinn? How did Quinn ever find you?
Right, but I think we needed it because otherwise it would have, Puck and Quinn would have gotten together too quickly at the top of the 100th, and we needed the full arc throughout the 42 minutes or whatever.
Right, and time has passed. We needed to see like what has Quinn been up to ever since the last time we saw her. Well, here's her storyline. She's developed a romance with Biff.
Right.
Trying to fix her life or like, go in another direction or whatever it is.
I'm glad they finally brought Quinn back because our last one was the Valentine's Day episode. And she got together with Santana, and we never got the resolve on that story.
I can't believe that wasn't mentioned.
I know. I thought they were going to mention it tonight.
I feel like they kind of just wanted to jump straight back to Puck and that whole, like, having the baby, because her whole thing with Biff was that she was all about forgetting the past.
Yeah. She wanted to create a new identity entirely for herself, free from all the mistakes that she made in high school.
The Ryan Seacrest tattoos.
Yeah, which I totally forgot
about it too. I know, I love that.
Another shout out to like a Fox show, American Idol.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's our second shout out to Ryan Seacrest in the last couple episodes.
I was gonna say we talked about one, I'm pretty sure last week as well.
Yeah.
So.
Seacrest is everywhere, including on Quinn's bum.
Wow.
Seriously.
Bum or lower back? I think lower back.
Stamp.
Lower back. But it was interesting how Biff, because we know Quinn wants to get over her past, but then Biff completely judged her on her past and didn't let that go.
Well, you could tell by the kind of character he was that he was not going to be okay with this. He wanted the prim and proper girl, the girl she was trying to be, rather than the girl that she actually was, I guess you could say.
What's so cool about being prim and proper? I just don't think I'll ever understand. Like, it's one thing to hold yourself to a certain standard, but it's another thing to hide who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think anybody's ever entirely just prim and proper.
Oh, no. I don't mean that you should be or could be or what have you. I think it's just he wants that classic, like, archetype.
Well,
of the girl.
I mean, they've only been dating 3 months. So, as you know, in the beginning of a relationship, you're kind of just showing your good side. You're peacocking. I call it peacocking.
I don't really do that. Maybe that's why I don't date somebody for very long, but I'm just kind of like, here's who I am, and take it or leave it. And I feel like
I accept you for who you are, Roxy.
Thank you. I think that there are people on the show like that, though, and Quinn maybe was one of them and is no longer.
Yeah, and we saw that with Puck, was that he's perfectly fine with his past and kind of wants Quinn to be too, and that's what he was pushing the entire episode, was that to accept who she was, because he felt like that's what she wasn't just hiding it from her boyfriend, she wasn't accepting her past.
Did any of you guys think that it was a little weird? I didn't dislike it, but a little weird how into Quinn Puck was. He was like, you're the one for me. I don't remember it like that.
I feel like we needed to like ease into that, but then at the same time they do have a child together, and maybe like seeing each other, they're seeing this baby that they made together, and it's like that hope that they can make a family that they still hang on to.
And I think it's absence makes the heart grows fonder, because they've been apart for a good 1-2 years now, and then now Puck is kind of has moved on, grown up, and then looking back, learning from his past and being that grown up that he is now. He's, I think, matured the most out of for the guys over all these seasons, and then realizing his true love was actually Quinn.
It's definitely a situation of everything is sweeter with time.
Yeah, I do think that, but I felt a little bit like, and again, I loved Puck and Quinn together this episode, so I wasn't mad about it, and I loved where we end up, but it did feel a little bit like if we had Finn on the show that we wouldn't have needed to fill the void of the past relationship coming together, because we would have had a Finchel moment, and they were like, we got Santana and Brittany. What else can we do?
They wanted to relive that season 1 experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we did it with another couple tonight too, which we'll talk about in a bit, but I feel like it's such a nostalgic episode that they did want to kind of make those ties come back together, even if it's just for this.
Absolutely. So it didn't bother me, because I do like them as a couple, and I thought that it was really romantic, and the arch was great. So.
Also, tonight we are kind of switching things up the way we typically do things, and we're going to talk about the songs kind of as we move through the categories. So I want to talk about the song that Puck performed for Quinn, which was Keep Holding On.
My favorite song
of the episode?
It was my favorite song of the episode.
And it's an Avril Lavigne song, and we've heard it before.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
And we've heard them all from tonight, except for the last song.
I loved how they brought it back with this song, because the first time they performed the song back in season 1, it was immediately after the whole Glee Club found out that Quinn was pregnant, and she did. At that point, she didn't want to tell anyone, but they all found out because of Sue, being that loud mouth,
right?
And then bringing that back to this episode and kind of wrapping that up.
I thought it explained so clearly how well Puck knows her and what to do in certain circumstances. This is what she needed. And I thought it was, I just thought it was beautiful. And anytime we have any sort of throwback to Finn, I just think it's a nice moment. And he was part of that song and just keeping him alive and keeping the songs and the music. I just thought it was really freaking well done.
Yeah, and the Glee franchise loves this song because if you ever watched the Glee Project, this was their send-off song. Like every contestant that went home at the end of the week, this was the song that they sang every week when they got eliminated.
It's such a sweet moment in the episode.
I feel like it's so relatable too, because we all have that song when it comes on the radio, or you put in your mixtape from high school or whatever it is. You immediately like feel this like pull back to such an important time in your life.
Absolutely. It's all the things you guys are saying right now, plus the fact that we have not heard from Puckerman in so long that his voice just kind of was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
It cuts through for me, like, because sometimes, like, with people, it doesn't. You can like have it fade to the background, not on Glee specifically, just in general. But I felt like, it was absolutely something that just cut through for me.
Yeah, I liked how he didn't shy away from the camera too. He has such a presence, and it's like, here I am, and this is what I'm here to do. It's cool.
We should also mention that another great Tuesday night show is Chasing Maria Menounos. Roxy does the after show for it.
I do. So we did our first after show tonight and it actually premiered tonight, and I know that they have more to tell us about it in the booth.
Yes, exactly.
Tuesdays on Oxygen. I'm Maria Menounos, and my life can get a little crazy. I host Extra. I'm an actor, producer, dancer, wrestler, and a lot of other things. I live with Kevin, my boyfriend of 15 years. Do you really love me?
I would say that I'm in serious like.
And my parents. Yep, I just said I live with my parents.
You drive me crazy.
You drive me crazy. My parents want us to get married.
You both love each other. Get married.
Kevin and I don't. I am gonna get married when I want to get married. I think I want kids. Kevin definitely doesn't want them now.
This is being pushed on to us.
And of course, my parents wanted them yesterday.
This year, you gotta have it.
And I have a house full of people counting on me financially. If I take my eye off the ball, everything can fall apart.
It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or wants us to do. It's what we want to do.
Everyone thinks that they know what's best for me, but I'm really the only one. I have got to figure things out.
Chasing Maria Menounos is so new. Every Tuesday at 10, 9 Central, starting March 18, only on Oxygen.
I'm so excited for episode 2. I saw the first one tonight, and it's phenomenal, so everyone definitely check it out.
And it also does say only on Oxygen, but Phil, I think that you know where else it actually is. Where else can we find Chasing Maria Menounos?
You can catch the replay on E! Tomorrow night at 8, I believe.
Yeah, so something not to miss for sure.
Check it out.
So good.
So much fun.
Although shame on you for not watching live.
Also, it
doing
keeps the lights on in here, so if you support the show, you're really supporting AfterBuzz.
True.
I may or may not have seen it on the East Coast feed, so there's that.
Get it.
She's watching it on every feed, every playback, okay? She's on it, Phil.
So that being said, let's move on to talking about the big duel of our show tonight, Mercedes and Rachel. This was a fun one to have these girls back. Kind of so much of season 1 and 2 was spent fighting for solos between these two, and they both returned to McKinley as stars in their own right. Rachel on Broadway and Mercedes having a record deal.
I love how their internal monologue within the two characters already were like conflicting with each other, and they haven't even like seen or spoken to each other yet, but when they're walking down the halls and their internal voiceovers, they're like, like already just digging at each other.
I have something to say that I think I might be alone in this.
I could tell you of something. I could see your face.
I think I might be alone in this,
opposite.
though. Okay, I was super excited because we have Mercedes back, and we know that she kills it every time she sings, as well as Rachel does, and we have had the pleasure of having had her this entire time. But I don't know, am I the only one that kind of tired of the whole like high school showdown? Like, they are past high school already, and they're doing the same old competitive
You know what? I do get what you're saying, but I like that they addressed that it was very high school what they were doing. And I think it's interesting because this is something in my world, at least, that I could very much so relate to, moving from a place that isn't LA or New York to either LA or New York, which I did, of course. I moved from Boston to LA, and my other friends who are trying to make it in the industry that moved to New York. And then when we come home, having those conversations about like, well, you're doing the theater and I'm working in film, you know, it is kind of a weird dynamic, LA versus New York. So I thought that was clever the way they did that. It's and then we always talk about how when we were in LA last week, they throw in all these little LA bits and these city things. So I thought it was clever the way they did that. And because they addressed that it was very high school what they were doing, I didn't mind that it was high school. We're back for the 100th. I almost wish they were still in high school. I mean,
I also kind of loved that Rachel threw out that New York can be like high school.
Yeah.
And
life can be like high school.
Absolutely.
Totally.
But with New York being high school, that I know that the show we have a little bit of news and gossip on it, but the show is moving to the New York more prominently or exclusively.
The New York, yep.
New York, yes. The New York set was what I was actually going for. But
it is the New York, though.
Right. So
one and only.
Yeah, and I think that it's interesting that they're saying like that the drama won't go away in that way. We've seen it all season, but to expect
That's what
more.
I said. They're so self-aware. It's like a shout out to themselves. Like the world's kind of like this.
I think it was a nice switch up too, because the past few weeks it's always been Rachel and Santana fighting against each other. Now it's Rachel and
She's gotta
Mercedes.
fight someone else.
Oh well, yeah. So it was just that nice, refreshing. Okay, she has beef with someone else now.
Well, you know, I agree with your points. I'm glad that at the end they addressed it and they said this is so high school. Had they not done that, I would have been like, come on, guys. Like, you couldn't have picked another storyline.
I feel like Glee's very self-aware.
Especially this season. I feel like even more than ever, they're very self-aware of what they are, what the audience wants, and kind of, we talked about it last week, that blurring of lines between characters versus actors, and they're very aware of all of that this year.
Absolutely.
That being said, Defying Gravity, it was one of my favorite performances tonight. It's just such a throwback and something that Glee does so well. I know it's a song that some people might be sick of. I can see it on people's faces.
Okay, I'll just say, I mean, I love Wicked, I love Defying Gravity. I just built a Defying Gravity in my car a few days ago. And so I'm not sick of this song. I was very, very surprised and kind of disappointed that they didn't built it as they were building it up to be. They were like, oh, I sang the high note the last time. Who's going to sing the high note this time? No one did. No one did. No one went high.
Yeah, I was more annoyed with the song sounded beautiful. It did.
It was great.
And Mercedes is a great addition to it, but we didn't leave the chorus. It wasn't wow enough for me. And the fact that we still kept the same two singers who were in it originally and then just added Mercedes sporadically, it sounded amazing, but it wasn't new and improved.
Right. I totally agree with you guys. What I was hoping for was that everybody, the three of them, would like bring it, and for it to be like a real showdown, especially when you're singing in front of Kristen Chenoweth, who actually, you know, was in the Broadway musical that has that song that's going to.
I could have gone with an Adina Menzel throwback there.
But I feel like it was very even keel. Everybody kind of performed on the same level. Like, you know, Rachel toned it down a little bit, so did Mercedes, and then, you know, Kurt sang it just as beautifully.
Right.
I think that was also on purpose, now that you say that, to show that they are kind of equal, that no one's really better than the other.
Yeah, but then I wanted to see them compete more for it, and the diva off was not really a diva off because I didn't see like that attitude. You know,
I was just Defy Gravity.
Yeah, and I was just surprised Kurt was singing this as well. He sung the original one, but I'm like, this is between Rachel and Mercedes. Why is Kurt singing this again?
Speaking of Kurt, that was the biggest letdown of the 100th for me. I loved this episode. You guys know I came out and I was like, oh, so good. I needed some Kurt Blaine.
I know, we only got like this much of Kurt and Blaine.
And
maybe next episode.
I know that Blaine's still in high school and we were focusing on the people coming back, but I needed it. I needed I needed them, and
missed opportunity.
I would have rather taken him off of Defying Gravity and given him a Teenage Dream with Blaine.
Oh, Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just remember sad times for that couple when I think of that performance.
I know.
Well, there was 2 performances. I just think that, or something, you know?
No, yeah.
I wanted a duet with them. I thought, also we only had, I mean, there were a good number of songs, but
Not enough. Never enough.
We had a segment at the end, that didn't have the final, after the commercial break, didn't have one at the end. And to me, that just felt very un-Glee. That would be my one, like, complaint, was that I like that ending number that Glee
isn't this
does.
a 2-parter episode, though?
It is,
So,
yeah, so
there's probably, they did that on purpose. There's more to come.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we know people voted for 10, whatever, so they're splitting it up evenly, but...
Yeah. That was my one little, like, I loved the episode, but I just wanted the way, I guess, a Glee episode is typically structured.
Absolutely.
I still wanted that.
And I wanted my Blaine and Kurt, but we can't always get what we want.
Maybe next episode.
I know.
I can't always
Well,
What you want.
I think that people did want guest stars on this episode for sure, and we got them.
Yeah, we did.
April and Holly, of course, Gwyneth Paltrow and Kristen Chenoweth.
Yes,
Awesome.
thank goodness. April Rhodes coming back makes my life complete. I mean, I just think that her character is so freaking funny. I'm sad that she ends up kind of screwing over the Glee Club, but we do know that we're going to get more from her storyline in the next. I think that she is so talented and so unique that she honestly almost stole the episode from me.
And Kristen Chenoweth it's so a character that she's built. It's like uniquely hard, and it's always so much fun to see.
And the great thing about Kristen Chenoweth and Gwyneth Paltrow, their characters, that being adult females, they bring so much energy from the adult perspective.
That's what happens when you drink so much wine, you know?
Yeah. But even both of them, I mean, April, she's a boozy, but she's always fun and energetic, and then Holly, she's like so free spirited and like just lives life like every single day. And just like bringing both those 2 energies to the Glee Club.
I was gonna say them together. That was what I found really kind of special.
And them being friends, and nobody really knowing how. The like, Facebook Glee page.
I was gonna say, and like drinking in the rafters together above the auditorium. Like what a funny and like weird combination, but somehow really worked.
Unlikely pairing.
Yeah.
Such a good light-hearted element to the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there were some very dark things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dramatic / emo, so we kind of needed them.
Yeah, starting with this kind of will the Glee Club survive, which we're still, I guess, figuring out. It looks like it's unlikely, but you never know with Glee.
Yeah, I think it's a weird thing to tease us with. Yeah. If they're not going to survive, you guys have already announced that. You've already broken our little hearts. So why would you dangle this in front of us? If they are going to survive, it was for a very short amount of time that we thought they weren't. So I think it's a little bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a reason to move the show to New York, like just in terms of a storytelling thing, but it does feel strange as somebody who's watched the show for the entire time,
right?
100 episodes.
If it is to move it to New York, then I didn't need them to dangle this in front of us.
Yeah.
Just say there's no more Glee Club or move. You know, we already did that.
Well, when we're thinking about survival or surviving or not surviving for the Glee Club, who else, like when Will said that line to what's her name, to April, he said the worst thing that you did to me
give me hope.
was give me hope.
Yeah.
That killed me. It's so true.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this is
You're a muffin. You're such a muffin.
I am. I don't even know what that means.
That kills me. Like, you're so cute and warm.
No, I watched the episode with Sarah, and she was like, it's so...
Okay.
Yeah.
I opened up my notes in my iPhone. I was like writing that down for life. Just for life. That line is going to stick with me. Because it's so true. That like
I'll find it on your Twitter next week.
Oh my gosh. And this is serious because it'll probably pop
later
up
tonight.
Emo post. Yeah. No, but it's so true because he put his blood, sweat, and tears into this Glee Club, and he's been fighting for it this whole time. And like this drunken, crazy woman who is his friend, you know, had messed it up for him.
It's kind of what she does, though.
But April, when she first saved the Glee Club the first time by in the auditorium, she did it out of the goodness of her heart, because she is generally a good person, a good human being, and then messing up and then realizing her mistake. Now obviously we're going to see in the next episode her redemption for that, to bring the Glee Club back.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a hard moment to kind of watch as Will gets upset with her. I had a hard time watching. I know Sarah did, but another.
Well, no, it's so true.
I know, but another hard moment. Another hard moment in the episode, or like touching moment, I guess we can say, is that when Will talks to his students about the end of Glee Club and puts up those the portraits or the plaques on the wall.
I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in really bad trouble right now.
Okay.
Oh my gosh,
it's so bad. Who is next to Finn?
I was trying to remember.
I was trying to remember as well. Was it
the original? Yeah, like
I can
the
just
original
hear
person.
all our iTunes and
I
YouTube
know.
watchers right now.
I know.
Who that is?
Sorry. I want to say, if memory serves correct,
had
that
to be
she
someone.
was like one of the founding people for the Glee Club.
Yeah.
Well, you can tweet at us and tell us how we.
In fact, tweet at me right now, please. So I
Scold
can
us for not
fill
knowing
in.
this right now.
We want to know. I'm gonna look it up as soon as I'm off of doing this show, so I can tweet at you later as well.
I'm so happy you guys didn't just yell at me. I thought that I was a moron.
No, we're all morons together.
We're all
It's
just
hard
trying to
because
think.
not to downplay whatever happened with that poor woman, but Finn's death is so prominent and so overshadowing that it's just like I can't. I thought that the plaque was beautiful. I thought the mention of him in the last couple episodes has been beautiful. I thought the tributes at National Stand were beautiful. I think that this week's songs, the things that he had been in, it just works.
Right. For me though, guys, I really wanted the plaques to stay in the choir room, even if the Glee room, even if it wasn't going to continue on. It feels so out of place for me there because we're so used to seeing it where they've been rehearsing and practicing.
And it's true. Well, I can understand why you say that, but they said that the auditorium is literally the only legit place they can perform and be a Glee Club together. So I thought it was actually more
symbolic.
Yeah, meaningful to have them at the place where they perform.
I agree. That being said, please tweet at us, or you can go on iTunes and comment on our show and
play nice.
Roxy says to play nice. We love hearing from you, and it helps us make a better show. And I love reading all your comments. I go on all the time. So.
And writing back to you guys because we love you.
Yeah, and commenting on YouTube also.
Gleeks are the best.
Amazing.
We have the best
are the best
fans
we
ever.
really do. Gleeks really are.
We love how you guys get so involved in the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And you notice things that sometimes we don't, and
that a lot of the times you know.
We're only human.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really fun to read the comments. That being said, let's move on to Santana.
She was Will's Glee teacher when he was in high school. Thank you to Arthur B.
Thanks,
shout
Arthur.
out.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yay.
We I love you guys. I love you guys. Teacher when she was in high school. Okay.
Phenomenal. And the power of social media right there. Right. We have a question, got an answer immediately.
Arthur B.
Instantaneous.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Before we move on, can we talk about Raise Your Glass?
Yeah. Yes,
I don't
of
think
course.
we talked about that.
We were going to
yeah.
Raise Your Glass, which was the original, honestly, is one of my favorite moments in Glee. This time we had April, Will, and New Directions, the new and old crew of New Directions singing together. I liked this song. It wasn't my favorite just because I think that it holds such a special place, the original.
I know. It's hard because I can't say anything bad because we voted on this, you know? Not we as in, yes, but this is what the Gleeks wanted, so they gave you exactly what you wanted. It's just, I love this song so much, just like you were just saying, that, I don't know, it was good, and she's fun in it, and the drinking or whatever. But,
and it was a good way to start off the episode. Like, it was high energy, and something I always look for is a high energy song to start the episode.
I agree. It's always fun to start an episode like that. My thing is, yes, it's a fun song, it's a fun performance. It was I don't think it should have been the adults singing the main chorus. Like, the lines in that is about drinking and just, like, having...
dirty little freaks.
Yeah, like, just the lyrics in that song. And then you're giving it to the adults, kind of condoning that behavior with teenagers. I thought it was not fitting for the adults to be a part of that song, but the teenagers doing it. Like, the young New Directions did it. instead of the adults.
A more fitting song for me was Happy with, it's by Pharrell Williams, of course. It was nominated for an Oscar this year. The song, they did that at the kind of towards the end of the episode, I guess not the very end of the episode. That felt more appropriate to have the adults.
Yeah, I agree, and I really liked Happy. I really happen to love the song. I know not everybody at the table shares the same sentiments.
Who doesn't like that song? Marisa, you're making me sad.
I'm just so over that song. I'm sorry. I'm so over that song.
See, but that's because you played it a lot in the beginning because
I
you
did
liked
not play it a lot. I just, it's been forced upon me to hear it so many times that I'm already over it.
See, it's a song that gets stuck in my head, so the more I hear it, the more I like it because it's just in my head constantly.
It's a fun, energetic song. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm just saying I'm over it.
But that being said, did we like the Glee version of it?
I did like the Glee version, but am I an absolute moron and been singing the wrong lyrics every time? Because I thought it was "Come Along If You Feel It," but they were singing "Clap Along" the whole time. I thought it was "Come Along."
It's definitely clap.
It's clap.
Oh man!
No, but I do the same thing with
the
other
wrong lyrics
songs.
for months, and I like belt that too, so it's a little embarrassing.
Whenever
Nobody's
that
ever
song
corrected me.
comes on, I feel like everybody just starts dancing in their car when it comes on the radio. Well, okay, that's just maybe I do, but
whenever that song comes on, I change the channel.
I was gonna say Marisa might change the channel. The rest of us dance along. It's fine.
Also,
clap along.
Clap along. Okay.
That was so good.
But don't you think? I always forget that Muffin. I'm hungry now.
That's Sarah's new nickname, Muffin.
But Gwyneth Paltrow, I forget she can sing like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she's a great singer.
I mean, phenomenal. I mean, even in Country Strong, she was
amazing.
Such a good singer.
Even before Country Strong, there was an older movie back in like 2000 called Duets where she was singing.
Yes,
that's right. So good.
Of course, you know that.
Yeah.
Check out Marisa on Anatomy of a Movie.
That song,
quick plug.
the song from that movie plays on Coast 103.5 all the time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Not that I'm listening to that station all the time.
Well,
Muffin, I am
we're
such
just
a
doing
muffin.
plug after plug. So let's jump back and move on to our next topic here, which of course we cannot end our show without talking about Santana and Brittany reunited.
Yes.
And it feels so good. By the way,
so good.
we're talking about being reunited. Hello, my house.
I know. Four of us back together.
I know. So
This never happens.
I don't know whether I'm more excited that we're back together or that they're back together. Or back
equally.
I was going to say equally excited. I feel like that's probably the right call.
Equally.
Yeah. I was so excited for this. I knew that they were both guest starring tonight, and I really wanted a big moment between them, and we got a lot of big moments at the end of this episode.
Considered a guest? Is Naya Rivera considered a guest star at this point?
I guess Naya's not a guest star.
She would be regular, but she's going to. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Heather
Heather Morris, was back after having her baby.
I hate her because I love her so much, and she looks so good. Like, what's wrong with you?
She does not look like she had a baby.
No, she is a dancer. They burn a lot of calories real fast.
I don't care. I hate you because I love you. I love you and I hate you.
You're going to be one of those two, Roxy. You're going to be one of those two that doesn't look like you just had a baby.
First of all, if you think I'm ever getting pregnant. And second of all.
Yeah, maybe that's a conversation for another time.
Maybe. That's not a Glee after show conversation.
As we digress.
But second of all.
Can we have an earmuffs conversation for once?
An ear muffins conversation?
Children.
Oh, but she looked amazing. Like, shout out to her for looking so freaking good.
Yeah.
To be almost half naked in some of the scenes that she was and look as good as the people that were come on, girl.
Yeah, like why not be fully naked?
Speaking of raising a glass, I raise a glass to you.
Yeah, I mean, so much fun. And also, I'm so curious to see where this goes.
Where is it going?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because obviously, Brittany wants to get back with Santana, but Santana's, I guess, having a hard time with it, doesn't want it. It seemed a little unclear to me, like, what her exact issue is. I know that her character, Santana's with Demi Lovato, right? Or
Danny.
Danny. Thank you. I was like, that's not.
Who's done now. She's done.
Because that was a really, really great song to have her leave on. It was just a big moment for her.
My thing is, I thought it was really surprising because when Brittany was the one who called it off, and now it's Brittany the one wanting to call it back on.
I think it happens sometimes. You don't know what you have till it's gone. And Brittany's going down this whole mathematics path, and she feels like she has to do all of these things. But really, what she should do is be happy.
Well,
Come along.
Right. I think that it's one of those situations where Brittany has always been like an outside the box person, and college is putting her like in a box, in a corner, kind of, and she remembers being with Santana, and that she always felt so free. That was kind of the sense that I had of it.
That was it, because Brittany, she's this mathematical genius. All she's been doing her whole life now is just equations and solving problems like that, and then having Brittany back into having Santana back into her life, just realizes how normal she can be again, and like what made her happy back in those days with Santana in her life.
Even as best friends.
Yeah. I was really surprised by Brittany's confidence in knowing what she wanted from Santana. Like, I would have thought it would be maybe the other way around.
But Santana has a girlfriend, so it is a little different, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me that Santana was like, I worked so hard
to
try and get over you. Like, I forget that it was that painful for Santana when that happened.
Yeah, and even last week's episode, I believe it was last week's, Santana said the line about Brittany that like she never calls her anymore, and she pretty much denounced Brittany as a lover, as a friend.
Yeah.
And then to have this happen.
I think that, this is such a bold statement, and I don't even know if it's true, but they're definitely up there. I think they could be my number one favorite couple of the show.
Ever in the history of Glee?
Wow.
I really think they are compatible, and I think Santana is made into such a better person when she's with Brittany. I don't know. I really love them.
Yeah.
I love them as a couple.
She kind of equalizes her.
Yeah,
right?
so it's hard for me. There's a lot of couples I've loved on the show, but I pull for them. And even when Santana was with Danny, I didn't hate it. Even when Trouty Mouth was with Brittany, I didn't hate it, but it's just whatever. I feel like Santana or Brittana is endgame.
You took the words out of my mouth, for sure. That's what I was thinking. I literally was thinking endgame. They are. They're just like the couple. I mean, I've had other favorite couples. I mean, if you've watched our show over the years, you know some of my favorites. But I feel like right now they're the couple that I look to, and they're like kind of the stabilizing. They've always kind of stabilized each other.
Right, and I think it's cool. It's not about falling in love with a man or a woman. It's about falling in love with a person, because we see Brittany, and she kind of goes, God, she does the bisexual thing where she's back and forth and doesn't know what she wants. But she really only wants guys until Santana, because she falls in love with a person, which I think is really cool and romantic.
I agree with you. I was always very excited about their relationship, and I feel like just their characters, that storyline written into the show, it was like it championed love in all forms for so many Glee fans.
Right.
Glee's everywhere. We're so excited about Britannia because it opened up, it's not just between girls and guys. Love is love.
Yeah, so true.
I'm about that.
And their songs tonight were amazing, so that didn't hurt.
I was going to say, we haven't even gotten to their songs. We started the episode with Toxic, us bouncing along to that. And that, of course, is a Britney Spears song. And we saw Quinn, Brittany, and Santana reunite.
I was feeling like a little hot in there for a second.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And can we also just
say...
The
unholy trinity.
Oh, I loved how
love that reference.
I loved how they edited the two versions back. Them in their cheerleading outfits, so the original Cheerios with their now more feminine, more voluptuous, performance with Toxic. And like those two things, coinciding together was pretty fun to watch.
That was cool. We're talking about how some things are still so high school, and that was a little more mature and showed us some growth. I just thought that it sounded awesome, and the performance was awesome, and the three of them together was so fitting. I was watching with Marisa, and we just kind of kept like looking at each other, looking at the screen, looking at each other, like, what? This is
so good.
Yeah, it was just so good.
They're all performers. Those three girls are performer types
Yeah.
of people. So
Well, and sometimes on the show we definitely criticize when they kind of do something that's out of the element and we're like, oh, it would never be allowed in high school. And tonight I was just like, I don't care, this is amazing.
I don't care.
it was almost like, oh, we're not in high school anymore.
And this is when I thought they were going to reveal the little get together that Santana and Quinn had back in the last episode.
Yeah,
I swear I thought they were going to reveal it.
They brushed right over
they
it.
didn't.
Okay, in all fairness, we do reveal, which we skipped over. Sorry, I know we've already talked about Rachel and Mercedes, but we do reveal what happened with the ballot stuffing that Santana did.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was funny. I didn't realize Rachel never knew that they stuffed the ballot box for her.
What I find so strange is Santana can really flip the switch on people. Like she goes from being perfectly sweet to really just out for blood, revenge. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, and
addictive.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see that she was the one who kind of went off on Rachel, and that's how Mercedes and Rachel came back together.
Right, absolutely. I just thought that was funny. I don't know, the Santana, her in the past.
It's interesting to see how all these characters, in the end, we kind of will they, won't they with Brittany. You've got Mercedes and Rachel reunited in a lot of ways, like they're friends again. And then you have Puck and Quinn, I guess, reunited in a big way. Like he wants her to say, well, will you stay? And they...
I really wanted Puck to Slurpee Biff and
that would have been
they need to bring back the
That is a good
Slurpees.
point.
But we do have a lot of this back and forth.
Yeah.
We do.
That was such a long shot when Puck's just walking down the hall. Her like, is she really gonna go after him? She should have gone after him 5 seconds earlier. And
that was the best.
I have to say, a Slurpee would have been great, but throwing in the dumpster, if you remember, in the pilot, that's where it all started.
Of course, absolutely.
And I like that they were throwing punches too against the bus. Like that was pretty.
Okay, Muffin.
Wow, we've taken a lot of turns tonight.
I've got another side to me too, okay?
I agree, because the second time around throwing Biff into the dumpster, Puck's doing it for the good reason. For a good, better reason this time instead of the first time.
The views here expressed by AfterBuzz is one of those things because we do not support throwing anybody into a dumpster. There is no real good reason.
His intentions were better this time around.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. I think we're missing Valerie.
That is very true. Valerie, which I know Sarah loved. It's an Amy Winehouse song, correct?
Yes.
And it was another Brittany, Santana, and New Directions all singing together. I loved the dancing on this one. That was what I really...
Wait, is the original Amy Winehouse? Yeah. I thought that it really...
Well, I think
I don't think so. I think Amy does a cover of it.
She did a cover it. I actually don't know who did the original.
Maybe in the booth, can we maybe look who originally sings Valerie?
But or someone can tweet us again.
What did you think of...
That's you
I'm
guys.
looking
Social
at...
media. Gotta love it.
But did we like that?
Harmonies were good. I love the harmonies, and I just like that kind of style of song. What would you call that? Like
upbeat,
bluesy,
I
almost jazzy. Jazzy.
I gotta admit, I don't really know the song Valerie, and I didn't really write a lot of notes for this one. I think this performance was the least memorable out of all of them.
That's
for tonight's episode.
When I before I started becoming obsessed with Glee, which actually I've been obsessed for a long time, and downloading all their songs, I would download a couple songs here and there, and Valerie was one that I downloaded first time around. I loved that song.
I love it
and
too.
so bringing it back to me was like, okay, I can definitely do this. I like the fact that they're bringing the song back because I thought it was so good and different. Not that this was so different than the original, but that this was so different than a lot of the music that Glee does. Yeah. I just liked it a lot.
And also that song is about, it's a woman singing about another woman.
Yeah, and it's the Zootons?
It fits. The Zootons.
Why don't I even know that?
Yeah, and it is Mark Ronson and featuring Amy Winehouse. So we weren't totally off. We were just forgetting the full
main dude.
The original.
Yes. But that being said, should we move on to some news and gossip?
Hit it, baby.
Woohoo. Hit it.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So I know last week we talked about Naya Rivera possibly leaving the show, which as you can see from Roxy's face, or maybe you can't see, she's not very happy about. So, some good news for you, Roxy, and all those Gleeks out there. Naya Rivera will be missing a few episodes, but according to sources that E! Online has, she'll be back, and the writers are currently plotting major story arcs for her. So that's exciting. Yeah.
This is a good news right here.
Yeah, exactly. And Gleeks can also expect to see Leah Michelle, Chris Colfer, and of course Darren Criss all back next season. So that's exciting. And Robert Ehrlich is the casting director for Glee, and he did an interview with Variety, and he talked about kind of casting and creating these characters for Glee, and that obviously the characters have already been created by the time he's trying to find the actor for them, but oftentimes the real life actors, we've heard it before, inspire parts of their characters. So for example, they talk about that, as I'm going through this, that Kevin McHale, he could rap, and so his character has rapped on the show, and he was like, I would never do it in real life, but because it's a character, it's totally fine. So he's done it for songs like Billionaire and Friday. So that's fun. I always feel like that's good.
Really fun. I like that.
Yeah. And they talk about that, of course, Corey Monteith wasn't the best dancer, but his stage presence is what made him so special, and they've referenced that multiple times on the show. I believe they did a Lady Gaga cover where he even
everybody's seen the audition with the drums, the pots and stuff, so that we know that played into it too.
Right, exactly. And Chris Colfer talks about that this is a big milestone for any show. 100 episodes is huge.
Officially in syndication.
Yeah, exactly. And networks make a big deal of it. It's huge. And so he talks about that it's crazy, and in some ways that it feels like the first episode, and in other ways it feels like they've been doing 1,000 episodes, which you can imagine week after week doing this show.
As long as it doesn't feel like the last episode.
Yeah, and he says he's kind of surprised that they hit 100, which I thought was kind of charming in a lot of ways. You don't always hear actors be that,
humble.
Yeah, exactly. But he was talking to Zap to it about that one, and yeah, it's really fun. And also, I know we talked about dreams last week, like what all these actors want their characters to have happen, and Perez Hilton did a piece on that as well this week. Any guesses for Chris Colfer, Darren Criss, what they might want from their characters?
To be together?
To be together.
To have a child?
Ooh, I don't know. Those are big dreams. They're more, Chris Colfer wants to see himself animated along with all the other characters. So
they've been puppets, so
I mean,
it's not too far.
I was gonna say animated seems about right. And Darren Criss, his character Blaine, you always hear that he has father issues. Well, he wants to meet his father and mother. Like we've met a lot of the other parents, and we've never met Mr. and Mrs. Anderson.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
And Leah Michelle's dream, to have an episode where she's in bed the entire time.
Fair enough.
Right? It feels like,
easy to shoot.
Yes, exactly. Low makeup, easy. All easy.
She can still sing, though.
Yeah.
From the bed.
From the
Girl
bed.
can sing from in a hole in the ground.
I know.
So,
actually, the acoustics would be probably pretty good there.
I was going to say, listen up, Glee writers. That seems like some fun ideas for next season. Ready for predictions?
I'm ready.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, this is just going back again for a second, but it just needs to be mentioned that fondue for two.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Sorry.
We overlooked that unbelievably, but yes, fondue for two made its return.
Yeah, obviously it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been really upset if we didn't see fondue for two. And the making out cats, just put it right, the cherry on top of that. Yep.
Perfect.
So do you think we'll get more of that next week?
Oh, I hope we get the fondue for two again.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of Emma.
Yeah.
Maybe.
A little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
More Blaine and Kurt.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. I want to see where this Quinn and Puck relationship goes. That's what I'm excited to see. It feels very quick to go. They kind of went 0 to 60 in this episode. So will they go back to 0, or speed up even more. I feel like we're either going to get like an engagement from them or it's going to be a breakup. And I don't know which way it's going.
I don't know if it's going to go that extreme, but I do think we're going to have them stay together because I just don't think they're going to dangle this in front of us and then rip it from us.
Do we think Puck is actually serious? I don't know, because that kind of stuff can be short-lived sometimes too.
I think he is.
I mean, at this point, I feel like he's grown up a lot. If he did this as a senior, I would have been like, he wants to make Finn upset. Where now it's really about the two of them.
I thought that was a really crazy moment in the episode tonight too, when they're sitting there and they're talking and she says, "Did he forgive me? Did he forgive us?" Or one of them says that, and the other one says, "We actually saved him because Rachel was his soulmate." I think that was really important to mention. I hope that we do see a little more memorabilia of Finn, and I think that Quinn and Puck, they did what they did, and now she's left Biff, and I do think that they're going to end up together.
Yeah, and you know what? I just gotta say, I love Puck in a uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, any man in a uniform.
Did you hear that, fellas?
Yeah. Just saying.
Just want to give out your number?
He looks pretty good in that uniform.
He did. He did, definitely.
I love how he says it too. He's like, "So, what did you say? So are you?"
Yeah. So do you think I'm like attractive? I forget the exact line.
She says you look very handsome or whatever.
It looks itchy.
I'm most excited to see. Obviously, I told you guys my favorite couple, so
yeah,
we'll see what happens with Britannia.
Yeah.
I mean, where did Jesus go? I mean, we know his name was Joe.
Wait.
But Jesus the long dreaded
I thought you were talking about Jesus for a second. I'm like, Jesus must have been thrown away at some point.
Do you guys remember the little moment between Sam and Rachel?
And Rachel.
It was a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
There was a little chemistry going on there.
Yeah, but we know that we're not getting a Rachel anything for the rest of the season. No love interest.
Not even a little tiny spark.
I don't think so.
Maybe
part of me wants to see how that would
I feel
play
like
out.
that might be something that comes back around in season 6.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that it's definitely Britannia all the way, and I do think that Santana will cave. Obviously, we know that we don't have Demi Lovato on the show anymore, so it's easy to have that break.
Yeah. Well, lots more. I guess the 101st episode? 101.
Yeah. 101. Glee 101.
Yeah.
It's like a class.
Next week, so be sure to come back and watch that too. So I'm Stephanie Wenger, and you can find me on Twitter at Stephanie Wenger.
And you can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar.
You can find me on Twitter at Sarah with an H Mendoza.
And you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV.
See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later, leaks.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.